Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
First Sunday of the new year. Well, Sunday morning. We have with us Steve Cates, otherwise known as Dr. Sky, and he really fills up our mind and expands our mind in new mysteries. Well, Steve, what do you have for the new year?
Well, good morning. Happy New Year to you and all the listeners out there, John. Hey, here's a little bit of space trivia. Many people may not realize yesterday on the 3rd at noontime Eastern Standard Time, the Earth was at its closest position to the sun. And that numeric is 91,403,637 miles. Many people in the Northern Hemisphere may be scratching their heads saying, what is Dr. Sky telling me? How can we be closest when the temperatures are so cold? And the simple answer, John, the tip of the Earth, of course, changes, as many people do know. But, John, here's some exciting stories about a little bit of a wrap-up of 2025. What were some of the hot topics in astronomy and space? Well, we find out that one of the most incredible stories, maybe not always reported accurately, was about this comet called Comet 3I Atlas. Some think it was a spaceship, others think it was a comet, but it took much of the space in the news world. And then, John, if you quickly go to space, probably one of the biggest ones of all is the success that Elon Musk has had leading the way in space, exploration with rockets. He launched, apparently, well, let's put it this way, probably upwards of about 180 launches, not including his Starship. That's like 4 launches per day, or per week, excuse me. That's incredible. So those are just the tip of the iceberg of some interesting things from last year.
Well, and look, we're getting closer and closer to finding out new things. What is the most exciting thing you think we found out in the last year?
Well, John, this is it, straight up. We found, that as astronomers, the longest and largest object in space. And this particular object, they call it Kuiper, which is a name for like a Mayan name for some kind of a bead or a string. John, the thing is a couple of billion light years across in length. Nothing in the universe that we found is that big. And that's a story, John, that really never got that much attention. But I'm sure we'll be talking more about it as this new year evolves.
Understood. Anything else going on?
Well, here's a story that you actually sent me, and doing a little more research, evidence of the location of Noah's Ark, possibly, as many people believe, on top of Mount Ararat in Turkey. Why do they think this? Well, pottery pieces have been detected. Who knows? But, John, let's put this particular craft or vessel of Noah in perspective. In biblical scripture and old-time technology, where they wrote, they said it was apparently some 300 cubits long. Well, a cubit, we find out, is 1.5 feet. So if we believe all this, and it's fascinating, Noah's Ark was allegedly 450 feet long, grabbing, as we know, so many of the species of certain types of animals. But, John, that's amazing because we're going back into time, maybe 3000 BC. Who knows, John? Maybe we'll find relics of the actual ship. But that was an interesting story that we certainly want our listeners to hear.
But the ship on top of a mountain? Does that mean that it was underwater, that area?
Sure. And in simple terms, it must have been one hell of a flood. But the way scientists look at this, they go back in time and see just what might have happened at that particular time. And there is some evidence, John, that there was some sort of a massive flood on the Earth. But, yeah, that's a strange one, isn't it? That you find the ship.
Me and you have talked about Antarctica when there was no ice on it. Now,
absolutely, John.
Now you're talking about water that Noah's Ark was on top of a mountain, and meanwhile Antarctica at a certain point was no ice on it. How deep is the ice in Antarctica? It's significantly deep.
Miles deep, John, and we're finding out underneath the ice, at least through radar and analysis of deep core drilling. There's an area where the Russians set up a base called the Lake Vostok region. And we're finding out that there's ancient forests underneath there. So once again, Mother Earth has made some amazing changes over the course of billions of years. But I want to look at, and I think you brought up a good topic.
It wasn't billions of years. Don't forget that map from the Turkish admiral.
You're right.
So we really don't.
Shape of the continent.
We really don't know.
We really don't, John. So exploration is on our minds in 2026. But here's a mystery of the week, John. It goes out to more about the amazingness of how unique the universe is. Here's the question. What is the most distant galaxy, and why does it matter? Well, astronomers have known that the beginning of the universe was probably 13.7 billion years ago. And how do we know that? Because the most distant object that we can actually measure is a technical term called the cosmic microwave background radiation. That's simply this in Earth language, simple Earth language. That when the explosion took place, that's the after effect of the explosion. Now, that is about the distance of 13 plus billion light years. But we found a galaxy, that is astronomers, John, that is only, how about this, 300 million years after the Big Bang. So, in other words, these were galaxies that formed, if it's all correct, 300 million years after that event took place. And the James Webb Telescope, John, is actually helping us dig deeper and deeper. These little galaxies, John, are just like red spots. So this, we're catching the early beginnings of how galaxies were formed. So that's the farthest of objects. They measure it in what they call the red shift of an object, meaning how far the light is shifted to the right, and we're going back in time. So the universe continues to what? Just amaze us, John. Each week we talk about these mysteries.
There's something we don't know, and I don't think we're going to find out in our lifetime.
Probably not, John, but if we look in the world of aviation as an example, when Wilbur and Orville Wright, the two bicycle men from, let's say, Dayton, Ohio, as they went on to the early sand beaches there of North Carolina, their first flight was what? Less than the width of the 747. But the point I'm making is, look how far we've gone in such a short time in the aviation world. And also, to add compliment to that, look how much we've learned in the short time we've had telescopes over the course of 500 years. I'm excited, John, about what's to come, and hopefully we will get more answers, and I'll be providing as much as I can in 2026.
Steve Cates, thank you. Let's make sure we have a great 2026, and we'll catch up again real soon.
Happy New Year to you and the listeners. Thank you, John.
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.